Hello everyone. This is Dr. Judy, stuck in traffic, so I will need a little time to get live. But in the meantime, I think I could start this show without my face on the screen, and hopefully you guys will hang in there. Part of the reason why I am calling in is because I'm so frustrated with people not calling in. I might as well call in to myself. So anyway, this is Dr. Judy Rosenberg, Dr. Judy WTF. I call the show WTF because we keep repeating old patterns that get us nowhere fast. And we repeat them because of multi-generational wounds that keep us stuck. And once we do the work, the therapy to get ourselves unstuck, then we can generate better patterns and we don't have to keep generating the same old. So today's episode, and by the way, everybody, happy Halloween. Please stay safe and make sure that in our crazy world, you screen for poison apples and razor blades and bad people and all that kind of stuff, because after all, you are responsible for yourselves and your children. So just keep out of trouble. I know it's a fun holiday. Do enjoy it. Just do it safely. So tonight's episode is on the difference between being alone and being lonely. So, oh, wow, even more traffic. Well, I guess this is going to be an audio show because they just blocked my street. That's so nice. In any case, okay, so bear with me, and this is a call-in show, everybody, so please feel free to call in to my audio presentation here, and it's going to be a while until I'm on air live, if at all, but, you know, I want to get the information out there, and you already know what I look like, because I've got lots of pictures up there on my website, and I think many of you have seen me before. And if you miss me too much, you can always call me personally, and I'd be happy to talk to you about your mental health and even give you a consultation or direct you to the right person for a consultation. So being lonely versus being alone, what is the difference? So one is painful and the other one might be peaceful. So if you are alone, it doesn't mean that you feel lonely. However, if you're lonely, it can even mean that you're around people, but you're feeling lonely because you're not connected to them. So let's go into this, do a deeper dive into why would we feel alone when we're around people. Well, I can give you several examples. For example, if I'm with somebody and they're on their cell phone and they're not giving me eye contact and general regard and responsiveness, even though we are in the same room together, I will feel lonely. There's no question about it. And after a while, I might even remove myself from the situation, because for me, and you have to understand that I specialize in healing human disconnect, feeling disconnected is not a pleasant feeling for me. So I would rather be alone than feel lonely. I would rather be with nobody than with a disconnected person. So again, this is a call-in show, everybody. 323-524-2599. I apologize that I am not live on air. Can't control the Sepulveda traffic in Los Angeles and the roadblocks. We'll try to account for that, because it doesn't really happen that often, but it happens. So let's talk about human connect and disconnect and loneliness. How does loneliness start? Well, loneliness, if we trace it back to the first few years of life, is based on attachment theory. Oh, wow, everything is blocked off. So, wow, police cars, okay. So I don't know. I live over there. So how do I get home? What happened? Because I live over.
Okay.
What's that?
Burglary suspect. You have to go. Yep.
Okay. Well, now I know what happened. Burglary suspect, so I cannot even go home. They just turned me down. A bunch of police officers. Isn't that nice? So I guess I'll just park and wait. Hopefully, everybody's safe. Hopefully my house is safe. And right now, I know for sure I will not be doing a live show. So let's not even count on it. So in any case, I hope I hear from you. This is a call-in show, everybody. And life is life, no predicting it. Burglary suspect in Sherman Oaks. Isn't that fun? Right near my house. That's the kind of world we live in. Look how disconnected the world is. The people can just help themselves to taking things and burglarizing and ransacking over everybody's life and really not having any care in the world about human connection and the impact it might have on people. So this is a world we live in. So obviously, human disconnect comes in many forms. The one that I'm experiencing right now is in the form of a burglary right near my house. Fortunately for me, I'm not home. And fortunately, I have two beautiful dogs, and they are, hello? I hope Tony, am I still on air?
You are still on air.
Oh, wow. Amazing. Okay. Well, can you
we have
imagine?
people in the
Somebody
chat room.
Okay, well, people might be burglarizing my house as we speak.
Oh, Lord.
The good news is my dogs are very, very hungry. They have not had dinner yet. So, sad to say, but true. They have not had dinner yet. So I don't know what time I'll get home, but not now. Thanks, people, for being in the chat room. And Tony, maybe you can put pictures up there of my mind map.
Okay, we can do that.
And we can trace the concept of, thank you, we could trace the concept of loneliness. So what is loneliness? Well, loneliness is when a baby is born and they're not really welcome in the world and they're not attached properly to mommy dearest and daddy dearest, mainly mommy dearest, breastfeeding, eye contact, skin contact, a sense of safety, a sense of responsiveness, attunement, a sense of mirroring. When a baby does not have parental engagement, usually, more importantly, maternal engagement, because mother is the primary source of love for that baby, then the neurology of it is that they don't get connected to that mother and they get lost in emptiness. So rather than have a bridge to that primary caregiver, the human being, there's just like a lack of an emptiness, and if they're not responded to, then they can go inward. And that state of inward can be very disorienting for an infant because there's nothing there for that infant. There's nothing pulling them out of their lack of sense of self, which they haven't developed. So it's super important if you are a parent, if you are involved with babies, young children, it is so important to show them a sense of responsiveness. It's essential, actually, to their well-being. So that's the root cause of true loneliness, is if you are not responded to in the first few years of life. Now, remember, that is, according to Dr. John Bowlby, the primary phase of development that is so essential to developing a sense of wholeness and developing a sense of self, developing what they call in theoretical terms good object relations, meaning that you're internalizing your mother, you're internalizing your father, you're internalizing your primary caregiver. So even as they're not there, over time, you develop a sense of object constancy, which is that feeling that you know that they're there even if they're not there. So it's sort of like through the experience of mother coming and going and connecting and disconnecting, hopefully the disconnections are not for long, particularly in the first few years of life, you get the sense that things are going to return. So that's the object constancy. Mommy leaves, but over time, the infant or the child learns that mommy's coming back again. Now, if there's not that kind of a relationship that's been established between mother and child, it becomes virtually impossible for that child to get a sense of a good internalized sense of mothering, a good stable object relations. And then what happens out of that is that they, as I mentioned before, they go into that hole within themselves, that no thing, that I call it the hole in the soul.
We have a call, Dr. Judy.
So we really do, huh?
We
wow,
do.
I should be absent more. I should
You
be
should
absent
drive
more
around in your
often.
car.
I still can't believe that there's a burglary going on and I'm not allowed in my neighborhood, and I have no idea whether my house has been burglarized. And
Well, get the burglar on the couch with Dr. Judy.
Yeah, maybe I should psychoanalyze the burglars. Maybe they're burglars because they have a hole in their soul and
That's
they
right.
have to burglarize people to get their needs met, whatever that means. Yes, thank you so much for calling in. And you are on the phone with Dr. Judy. Thank you.
Hey, hi, is that me, Jason from Boston?
Oh, hi, how are you? Thank you so much for calling in.
I'm doing well, thank you. I'm outside on the cell phone, and I just hope my audio is okay.
I can hear you perfectly well. Can you hear me well?
I can hear you 100%. So I watch a lot of... Awesome. Yeah, wonderful. So I watch a lot of Dr. Judy, WTF, What the Freud, and I go, all right, this woman has obviously done the work, to say the least, and understands at least a piece of this puzzle of what we're trying to put together in this world. If I were to ask you one question, you're welcome. And if I were to ask you one question, because, I'm sure there are going to be other callers. Just be patient. It is Halloween night. Everyone's out doing all that satanic stuff or whatever. But with all that being said, I'm in a very, what I would call precarious situation where I've never been rich and I've never been popular. And I've always been a loner, but I joined a rock band in high school and I became popular and I learned what it was. I learned how to socialize later on than most people do. And it turns out, because I actually, back in 2010, I don't want to front load this with all me stuff, but if you follow me, you cut me off anytime.
It's okay. You're on
right.
the couch with Dr. Judy, so it is about you. And that's perfectly okay, because it
good.
is and it isn't. Because everything you say, I'm 100% sure other people can relate to in some way.
They definitely can, because I meet a lot of them online. But in terms of the reason I called in for this topic is you said the word loneliness. I've always been alone. And just like you said, even in groups, even when I got off stage playing a show for like 1,500 people and, dating girls and this and that, and everyone, loves you, this and that, I'm still like acting. And it turns out, and I've never been diagnosed by a doctor, but it turns out, if you believe the internet, back in 2010, I paid for a test. I paid for it. So this is not just like random questionnaires on the internet. It was like $50 or whatever in 2010, which is what, $1,000 now because of inflation. But so it was pretty expensive back then. And $2,000
for the test? What was
no. I don't know if I misspoke. Okay, so let me just start over again. In 2010, I spent about $50 for the high-functioning Asperger's autism spectrum test.
Gotcha.
And it was it was 200 questions, and I scored 162 out of 200.
Wow.
All right. So that's up there. And it makes sense because when I was a kid, I couldn't talk to people. I couldn't look at people in the eye. But
yes.
I found the internet and I found music. And I'm not making this about me. I'm actually going to ask a relevant question that I think is pertinent to your audience, is that I really put myself together, but I always, even in relationships, I always feel like I'm acting a little bit. But then I've met other people online that say that, yeah, that's kind of how life is. And I just didn't get that. So I don't know if, so that's my first point I wanted to throw out there, is that we all act a little bit. It's just people like me have to act a lot more in order to just.
That's really interesting, okay, because you're talking about some sort of a neurological possible disconnect, if you will.
Well, like I said, I paid $50. I paid $50 for the test, and it was 200 questions, and I scored 162 out of 200. So
that's pretty significant. So,
right.
So look, I think what is also significant about what you're saying is that when you found out that there were other people like this, all of a sudden there might, and I'm checking with you, maybe you had a sense of belonging, like, wait a minute, I'm not the only one. Maybe other people experience this, and so that gave you a sense of comfort.
You're guiding this conversation masterfully. You know why? Because you just led in to my own point of calling you, and the title of your video is Loneliness. It's real easy to meet dozens of people on the internet who could live a town next door, which I've done and gone and had a beer with, or, you know, people in Oregon or people in Britain or whatever, you know, like anywhere. And yet myself, I had to, because of financial reasons, I had to move away from the city where I used to have like a circle of friends, but they were, you know, bar friends and good friends and this and that. And all of my friends are married and moved away, and I'm 40 in a 1-bedroom, and it's damn lonely. And all I keep doing is my research, because I know I'm onto something. I know that this world that they've portrayed to us through the media, and I'm not trying to rant at you, but it's very, very, I don't want to hang out with my friends because I don't feel like I've achieved enough, and I don't want to just, you know, I can't go crash on their couch 40 miles away with their wives in the building. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, there's you're right. No, you're right. There's a practical part to this. Yeah, they're married. They have their own involvement in the family. And you're right. You're probably not going to be all that welcome crashing on their couch. But you said something earlier. I'm trying to remember exactly what you said, but something like, you know, like the feeling was that you're different. Okay.
Oh yeah, I've always been an outsider, and I found my own way. I mean, tremendous bullying as a kid. If I didn't have a conscience, I would have turned out to be a real bad person. But I have a tremendous conscience, and I'm like a smart person. So I want society around me to be good. You know what I mean? Like through and through, from the heart. I'm telling you that.
That's so beautiful, because that's called empathy, right? And
yes, I have tremendous empathy.
So this is what I'll share a little bit about me. So I live alone for the most part. I have 2 dogs that I'm extremely connected to. I do have family. I do have children and grandchildren that I'm connected to, but you know how it is. They've got their own lives, right? A lot of times I might feel lonely, but it's not because I'm alone. It's because I don't feel that anybody gets me. So whenever I feel not gotten, like the whole thing is about being gotten. But I could be with a person, for example, I have people that I'm with, but they don't really get me. So it's just pleasantries, if you know what I mean. How you doing? Let's go out for dinner. Yeah, you know, shooting the breeze kind of thing. And it's
I use
fine,
different words. I said like minorly kind of acting, which I've mastered over the years, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah, so have I. So have I, because it is nice to get out and have dinner, and not everybody's going to be a deep empathic soul. As a matter of fact, I specialize in narcissism. It's all over my website.
So do I. And I'm not going to give you, oh my God. All right, here we go.
So it's very it's really, really painful, because what is narcissism is when, it's a disconnect, right? When it's always about me, when you lack empathy, when you don't really have what I call synergy. The opposite of synergy is me. There's no connection. And I would say, unfortunately, and I don't want to negatize here, most people do not know how to play a better game of life called synergy. They just don't. So when I don't have synergistic experiences, I personally tend to retreat upon myself and hang out with the dogs, for example. If I can reach out even to one soul, or even in my practice, if I can touch another person and add quality to their life, if I could be a +1 and make a difference to another human being, then I feel like I am participating in synergy, because I'm being the light. So that takes away from that feeling all alone experience. So even if nobody really gets me fully, at least if I feel like I can get other people, it feels connecting.
I used to always say that I had a blog in 2009 on MySpace. Remember MySpace? And it was called A Daily Dose of Synergy, and I used it half for the music I was writing and half for just like blog posting and stuff like that. And so the word synergy means a lot to me, and I fully understand it, unless you can tell me that I'm wrong. The way that, or misinformed, the way that I interpret the word synergy is that's the human connection that is the literal definition of the sum is greater than the whole of its parts. So for example,
100% what I mean. Yep.
Yeah. And I came up with that on my own. I'm not saying that for my ego purposes. I'm saying that because I came up with that at a young age. I'm 40 now. I'm in the retirement home in 2 weeks, right? But
oh, sure. Well, where am I? I should be left. If you're in the retirement home, then I guess
was a joke.
I'm in the grave. So good.
that was a joke for both of us. But I heard someone else beep in. I've taken up a lot of your time. Do you have another caller, or would you like to stay on with me?
No. Okay, so no, this is fun for me, because we're connecting about disconnect. Isn't that interesting, people? We are having a discussion about Asperger's and disconnect and lack of synergy and narcissism, but we get each other, which is why it makes for a connection and good conversation. And so when we encounter conversations or people like this, then we just, then they become the light.
Would you like to move on to the most life-changing thing I've ever encountered, which is the topic of narcissism, or? Yeah,
please do. And if there's another call-in, Tony, tell him to hang on. I'll take any call-ins, but let's finish this. This is really interesting and insightful. So yeah, please do.
If there was such a thing that could be described as cancer of the human race, we all think, because we've all lost, we've all lost people to tumors and cancer and horrible diagnoses and car accidents. And I honestly believe, after my experience with my narcissist, who is passed away now, and I hate saying this, maybe I'll soften it a little. No, I'm not going to soften it a little bit. The world is a better place because this person is gone, all right? But my definition of a narcissist and a sociopath and a psychopath, that's like splitting hairs. It's the same thing.
Yeah,
so if you
it is a matter of degree. You know, it just gets darker and more dangerous. Yeah.
Well, you obviously have all the books that I have, In Sheep's Clothing, the Sociopath Next Door. I bought all the books. Dr. Robert Wolf, Naomi Wolf. Let me. I'm getting out of my element a little bit. So I consider myself a non.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I consider myself, because I've been through it. There are so many people on the internet, and I'm not dogging on them, but I can tell that they have read all the books and they've participated in a lot of online panels and this and that, and they're really good social observationists, if that's a word, but they've never been through a relationship from start to middle to finish with an actual sociopathic, malignant narcissist. They just haven't.
Okay.
And it's kind of like talking to someone who drives a car, and you yourself have been through a severe car accident, and you can tell them, and they can picture in their mind all the emotions, and they can imagine what it's like, and they can even now go watch YouTube videos and stuff of horrific car crashes. But if they've never been through it, you can just tell that they don't know how bad this is. And now I'm going to take that and circle back to my point that I almost forgot, but I'm going to make it. I think Jason from Boston, JB Rants on YouTube, JAYBEERANTS. I think malignant narcissism is the most destructive force within the human psyche that exists, and probably has always existed. But that's where we get in things, and that's a whole other conversation, is their demonic possession. But I want to stay kind of where you just said you agree with me, and may I get your response to that, Dr. Judy?
Yeah, of course. First of all, if you just take it very simply, what is narcissism? It's a deep sense of lack of empathy, and it gets darker and darker the more detached you get from your impact on other people. Would you say that's a pretty good definition?
Do you mind if I narrow your definition down a little bit?
Go for it.
Because I know I was talking really quick earlier. I got a little bit nervous, but I'm talking about malignant narcissism. There are plenty of narcissists who only care about themselves, who become drug addicts and just bully a few people, steal a little bit, and then they just die or end up in prison, unfortunately.
Okay, so you're talking about a bigger impact.
I'm talking
impact.
The real smart, malignant narcissists who are the ultimate predators. They can put on a suit, and now, believe it or not, I don't know if this is societally caused or whatever, but there's a lot of female narcissists out there too. But they're predominantly male. They're predominantly Caucasian, and that was mine. And he's, again, March 13th, 2016, they found him dead in his couch, and I feel nothing other than, I don't want to say bad things like that, but the damage he did and the damage I found out that he did to other people after he went away is extraordinary. And I was right in the thick and the...
don't really feel anything is very appropriate, because a lot of people will feel bad that they lost their narcissist or they lost their malignant narcissist. And and then they blame they blame themselves for not feeling bad. I have a lot of patients who
never blame yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
They feel horrible that their narcissistic parent who abused them passed away or something. And the truth of the matter is that it's appropriate that they not feel bad, because that parent was so damaging to the psyche. Why would you feel bad about having somebody exit stage left who left tons of damage on your psyche. It just doesn't really add up, does it?
It doesn't add up, but nothing about, and anyone who's listening to this, I don't know how many, I'm on my phone, so I don't want to take it off my ear. I don't know how many people you have in your audience right now, but everyone out there listening, someone knows something about what I've said and what we've said together and what you've added and what we're contributing to this conversation. Someone has met, someone knows, and I'm not saying this, I'm not a troll, I'm not trying to, I don't need any note. The reason I gave my YouTube channel earlier is because I've done a lot of rants, a lot of them late night, a little inebriated, blah, blah, blah. But I am not right now. And when you go through this thing, it really, to me, it became a spiritual experience, because I go, there's Dr. Judy, I could sit with you, as you've probably heard millions of times, I could sit with you for 2 hours and we could scratch a fingernail of what it's actually like to go through this, and you have yours and I have mine. Yeah. But
yeah, go ahead.
Please. No, you go. You're in charge.
I just was wondering, because there's a book that I'm not a big reader. I don't have a lot of patience to read. I like to listen to YouTubes and get information by conversation and so on. But there is a book that I really needed to finish, and I've been reading it for years. Crazy, but I just couldn't finish it. My favorite book, really, one of my favorite books in the whole wide world, People of the Lie, 𝗦𝗛𝗡. I mention him in my book, 𝗬𝗏, Healing Human Disconnect, and he talks about evil. That's what his book is about human evil. And he goes so far deeper in his book, he goes into the level of evil which necessitates exorcism. Okay, so here's a psychologist, I think psychiatrist, he's way long gone now, but there were levels of evil that he pointed to that required not only psychotherapy or whatever he was doing, but really required spiritual intervention. So you're right, if we sit down for hours and hours, we can't even scratch the surface, because I myself don't understand these evil forces that people are trying to tackle through exorcism or spiritual paradigm shift or whatever they're trying to do. I've encountered people like that. As a matter of fact, I talked about it on a show that I did a couple of weeks ago called Dreams as an Opportunity for Forgiveness. And the reason I talked about it is because my malignant narcissist appeared in a dream, and he passed away a few months ago, and he wreaked so much havoc on my life that I got physically sick. Financially, he almost broke me. I mean, I was broken in so many pieces. However, what I got out of it was a true belief in my mind map. And so I feel like, I have a for sale sign on my house, and I probably my, my autoimmune was acting out, and I was inflamed, and all my muscles were as hard as rocks. However, I felt like walking around with this mind map, and somehow my practice built up and up and up and up because I believed in it so deeply, and I couldn't forgive him. However, in the dream, he came and he did nothing. I just said, I just want you to know I forgive you, like for no reason at all, for no reason, just like, okay, I'm done. I forgive you. But again, it didn't have anything to do with his earnership. He's dead now, so he can't earn forgiveness, which I'm a big believer of. However, something in me in dream form allowed me that. I think in waking form, it's harder for me. but in dream form, I accessed it. So anyway, I wanted to put that out to you because it was very unusual for me. Very unusual.
I appreciate that, and I fully understand. It's almost like, I think you and I are two, just take my analogy, all right? It's almost like we're two, you know how when you shake hands right, and it meets because we're opposite each other. I almost feel like our experiences are shaking left hands or right hands and right hands only because our experiences are so similar but so different. Do you mind if I just add a little bit on mine?
Please.
All right. So, by the way, for your audience that's listening, and I'm sure some are taking notes, if they're smart, they're taking notes. Another book, I know you could rewind the video. I went through some, I'm not a promotion person. I'm not doing any of that, but a great book to help you get through this crisis that you're going through to the doctor's audience, to Dr. Judy's audience, is The Sociopath Next Door by Dr. Martha Stout. So put that on your list as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, you're welcome. Okay. You're welcome. And this stuff, even if the book is $20 or $50 or $100, I don't know what it is, but I promise you, over the course of a year, even if you're broke, when you learn about what malignant narcissists are, it will save you from so much trouble. And here's what I wanted to add to what Dr. Judy just said, is that there's a trap that I think us, and I don't want to call myself a victim, I'll call myself a survivor. What us survivors fall into, especially those of us who are a little bit more high-minded, or, you know, think about society in general and the world and the future and the past and everything. Deep thinkers, not just TikTok followers. Sure. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think one of the most important things to take away from this is that the flaw that I've noticed built within myself because of the trauma is that every single, and I do this to this day, by the way, I haven't figured out how to figure it out. Every single relationship I enter into, whether it's work, whether it's a new person at work, I haven't dated in years, so like there's that. But literally I have my radar on full alert. Is this person evil? Is this person narcissistic? And that affects your behavior. That's what these people do to you in the long run, is they fuck up your ability to just like kind of be normal, because I am always on high alert.
Yes, because now you're on PTSD. It's almost like they traumatized you.
Let me just finish. Let me finish my thought, and then I want to hear your thought. I put everyone unintentionally and intentionally, if that makes any sense, I put them through a freaking checklist. Am I seeing, because when you've been a victim of narcissist abuse and you're also savvy on the internet, you start learning about body language. You start learning about eye contact. You start learning about everything, all the stuff they should have taught us in kindergarten, 3rd, 2nd, 4th grade, everywhere, that they don't teach us because they just want us to be mindless drones in the working force, as George Carlin said, but that's a whole other rabbit hole. They should have been teaching us about how to, you know, deal with society and predatory people, and then what are you good at? That would be a good school head of the government, is someone who did that, is saying you need to learn that not everyone's your best. Did I make you angry when I swore earlier?
No, you did not make me angry at all, because I feel like swearing a lot. The only thing is I get concerned that YouTube might censor it. That's it. I won't say anything that'll do that, but one of the biggest, simplest lessons that I've learned from this experience, which I haven't even gone into. In fact, I'll wait until your next video because I'm taking up way too much time, I feel, unless you want to keep me on for another hour, which I'm fine doing. No, this is really good. And you know, because of what happened, I have no idea. There's still a robbery going on right around my house. It's very strange for me to be parked here having this discussion, knowing that there's something going on.
And I hope you're gonna. I know you're gonna be okay. I pray that you're gonna be okay. May I just get out one more sentence?
Sure, go for it.
All right. what I've learned from this experience, and I know this sounds super naive, is that, believe it or not, this is why I asked if I could swear, not everyone has your best fucking interests at heart. They don't.
Exactly.
They don't.
Exactly.
They don't.
And let me tell you what I learned, because I myself have signed on for several relationships with narcissists, and it's all about the blueprint. Mommy dearest, daddy dearest, they set the bar on these kinds of things. And if I look at who I've been being in the past, is I've been being a big people pleaser. Okay? Big
yeah,
people
I've been
pleaser.
that way too, yeah. Yep.
And that's been my area of growth. And what I learned is a term, I guess I kind of put it in a term called positive projection. I don't know if I invented it or if it's been used before.
Did you say positive projection, as in positive versus negative, and it's positive projection?
Yeah. Like, let me give you an example. Let's say I'm at a restaurant, right? And I have to go to the bathroom, and I put my purse down on the chair, okay, or I hang it over the chair. I'm thinking, well, I wouldn't steal somebody's purse, so therefore nobody's going to steal my purse. So what am I doing? I'm positively projecting, and I've done this all my life. So if I meet somebody, I immediately give them credit where credit is not earned or due. Got it? So now I teach people to park it in neutral. You don't have to negatively project. You don't have to positively project. Let's bring in the concept of earnership. So if you earn the right to have my trust, if you earn the right to have my respect, if you earn the right to have my love, well, then you've earned it. But I don't have to automatically give it to you unless you're an animal, a dog, cat. You know, I love animals.
Correct.
You know, I could see a dog, and it takes me like even less than a nanosecond. I'm just in love. I'll see a little dog like, oh, hi, little angel, immediately. But if it's a person, they're not my little angel. I haven't done anything to deserve them being my little angel, so it's not happening. So that's what I teach people to do, because a lot of people will miss that subtlety of, well, why are you making that person your best friend? Why are you automatically handing trust on a silver tray to that person? And those are the kinds of people that malignant narcissists or any narcissist will definitely eat alive. Most definitely. Oh,
my hairs are standing up on my arms, even though I'm wearing a jacket. My hairs are standing up in the yeah. No, everything you just said is so. It's almost like we're really. I know that you're real, and I think you know that I'm real.
Yes.
Because
and how could I tell? Is that the conversation flows. I'm not just trying to play a nicety with you. You're not just playing a nicety. I'm sure if I said something that didn't hum to you or agree with you, you could say to me, Dr. Judy, that doesn't sound right at all. And then I would examine that and say, let me think about that again. How did you take it to mean? Or, yeah, you're right. That wasn't thought out well. So when you have that kind of discussion with somebody, you don't live in panel 5 and say, what do you mean I didn't say it right? What do you mean you think I'm a phony? What do you mean? Like if you really enter into discussion, then there's a partnership where the person wants to make you a better person, and the other wants to make you a better person, and that's synergy.
That is synergy, and we don't need to go down that role. But again, do you have another caller? Do you want to stay on another 5 minutes, or?
Oh, Tony, let me ask you, are there any questions in the chat room? And feel free to stay on the phone. Anybody want to call in or chat room?
We don't have
any
callers.
No, because I've been wanting to come on. Oh, go.
No, we don't have any callers, but we do have several questions. So whenever you want to get to them, just let us know.
So why don't you stay on the line and let's take some questions. Go for it, people.
So,
maybe Dr. Judy can answer, and I could maybe do follow-ups. This is super cool. Like,
yeah, you'll be my co-host. How's that? Okay.
Well,
okay.
I'm a very controversial person on the internet, but I'm happy to do so.
Okay,
That's
so
fine.
here's the question.
I'd love to hear your music, by the way. So communicate with me so I can tune into your music, please. Okay. So
You got it.
Okay. So give me some questions in the chat room, Tony. And
Okay.
We'll address them.
Of course. So here's one question. The first one, it says, how can someone distinguish when their lonely time is becoming unhealthy loneliness?
Okay. Do you want to start answering that, and I'll jump in?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
I don't feel unhealthy.
Mm-hmm.
I can only speak for myself because this world has changed. Again, I just turned 40, so I'm so immersed in my research of waking up to how the world really works over the last 15 years. I don't know what prompted. To be honest with you, I started with 2012 and the aliens on YouTube, and then I just went off the deep end, and I just went down all the rabbit holes, and I discovered that I had the discernment to figure out that the entire world, this is my opinion, by the way. I'm not saying anything I'm saying is fact, even though I believe it's fact, and I can prove all of it. But just the fact that I've literally figured out that the entire world is fake. And then when I went through the relationship with the narcissist, and I go, wow, even interpersonal relationships can be, I don't know what it is. That's why I became a very spiritual person, because I believe there's something else going on here. So may I ask Judy to ask the question again so I can answer it a little more directly?
So I'm going to jump in on that one, and just, to tell you that my interest in psychology and spirituality started back in probably elementary school. Edgar Casey on ESP, because I've always had a sense that I have ESP and lucid dreams.
I've studied all his work, all of Edgar Casey's work.
I love his work. But to answer the question in the chat room, how do you know that you're alone is no longer healthy? I think when you've become so adapted to your loneliness that you're not generating anything. I mean, I could tell with myself, I'm just sitting there scrolling through YouTube after YouTube. It feels like wasted life, wasted time, snuggling with the dogs, not wanting to get up. So it can cross over into, wait a minute, I haven't exercised for a while, or I'm not eating right, or I'm not progressive. So that's when you know your aloneness is turning into kind of like a solitary confinement. Does that make sense?
Yes,
think
it
of
does.
Panel 5. Think of Panel 5 defense mechanism. So if your worldview, like you said, your worldview is, people are phony, they're narcissists, that. So if it's 100%, then why would you want to leave your room, right?
Wrong. That's not what I said at all. What I said is my worldview fell down. Well, maybe I said that, but I didn't mean it that way. Here's what's so crazy about this situation is that narcissists are a tiny, tiny fraction of the population. There's a researcher, I don't know if you ever heard of him, Thomas Sheridan, when I first started getting into this back in 2009-10, where he said they're interspecies predators. And this isn't getting into aliens or demons, although it might be now that I'm into it. Yeah. They can put on a suit, they can put on a dress, they can put on a white t-shirt and blue jeans. They look just like you. They can become your best friend. But from day one, when they meet you, their only goal is, what can I take from this person? And once they've extracted, extracted is the word. It's a horrible word. It sounds like pulling out a tooth. I'm in the dental industry.
It's like I call it the vampire effect. And if you look
energy
at my panels, Yeah, it's an energy vampire. If you look at panel number 7, which is, Tony, if you would be so kind as to put it up there, if you see all those orbs coming together, that is my metaphor for synergy, right? 1 plus 1 is greater than 2, and that creates light. But when you're with that vampire, 1 plus 1 makes you less than. But here's the news for the vampire is that it doesn't make them better. So in other words, if they're extracting, it's not like they're growing. Maybe they're richer because they've stolen your money, or maybe on some level they're better, but really because they have a hole in their soul, okay? And people get this. What does a hole in the soul do? It doesn't allow you to contain what you take. It's like if you're eating a meal and you've got a hole in your stomach and it's not processing the food, no matter how much food you put in there, there's no gain by it. So nobody really wins is what I'm saying. And by the way, everyone, I do have a video. I'm sure you're familiar with it. And if you can't afford my video, because it's not cheap, I put a lot of production money into it and tons of work. It's called Healing from Narcissistic Abuse. You can see it there, Tony, if you put it up there. If you can't afford it, then call me and I'll make sure you can afford it, because I really want everybody to heal from their narcissistic abuse, because as you know, right, if we don't, then we just repeat it over and over again, and we keep getting in the same relationship. And why do we do that? Because our blueprint sucks. Because from the first few months and years of life, that's who raised us, that's who encoded us, and that's how we think life is. And then hopefully at some point we break down, and I don't mean that in a vicious way. I mean that if something's not healthy and sustainable, it has to break down in order to break through. Okay, so break down doesn't mean break down and die. It could be break down so that you can grow in a different direction. So I know we're heading toward the end of the show, but do you have any last minute comments?
I was going to say, do you mind if I just add on to that? It's again, you're a great guide. It's a perfect point to add on. It's like any other kind of recovery. I'm never fully going to recover from dealing with my narcissist, but I want to get back up to at least 99%. And the way that after doing all the research, buying all the books, tons of self-introspection. I go fishing alone, talking about alone, but I meet people fishing, and it's like, yeah, you meet people, so I'm not totally alone, but the way that I describe, the way that I describe dealing with a narcissist and the way that I came out the other side of it, a better description of when I said that these things, demons behind a t-shirt or a dress or whatever, is that I don't hate them anymore. I mean, my abuser is gone. Like I said, March 13th, 2016, they found him on his couch, and that's a good thing because he spent his whole life ruining other people's lives. But I look at them as a lion, as a giant tiger or a bear who is disguised. Their psychology is such that it's just purely a predator. So ever since, I was young, I love animals and, nature and things of that and you don't get mad at a lion for grabbing a gazelle and ripping its throat out and eating it. It's horrible to watch. It's horrible to watch, but it's reality and it happens. And what a lot of people who have, go ahead.
The only difference is that in that scenario, there's a balance of nature. Okay. Okay. So the lion isn't necessarily like that vampire. The lion's just eating dinner and lunch.
So here's exactly again where we agree, and I can come from a countervailing angle to agree with you, is that the lion doesn't use deception. Well, yeah, the lion does. It hides in the tall grass. But once the gazelle sees the lion, the gazelle has the opportunity to run like hell. And
yes. I see where you're going. The lion is transparent. Yeah, because it's a lion. It's not a wolf in sheep's clothing.
But in the human version of the malignant narcissist, again, there are plenty of narcissists who just end up using drugs and just they end up ruining their lives and they just go away. That's most of them. But some of them, like I said, they're in the tall grass, but the thing is they use deception. They use human deception in order to lure in.
We're gonna, you know what? We're gonna end on that note because I see it's almost time. Okay, this has been a very, to me, enlightening discussion. Be in touch with me. Would love to hear your music. And I really appreciate you sharing this because I know that people can relate to it and maybe they are taking notes and they're going to read some of the books that you suggested and I suggested. And we always have to learn, because if we don't learn, then we're naive. And when we're naive, we become bait to these people. So let's keep growing. And thank you for calling in. I know we only have a minute. That's why I'm cutting this short.
I'll see you.
And
I'll see you. I'll end early. I'll see you in the comments section. My name is easy to remember. It's JB Rants. So if you think JB and then rants, like someone ranting, but it's JAYBEE space rants. That's my name on YouTube. And most of my videos have been deleted because I talk about stuff like this. And thank you so much, Dr. 𝗬𝗎𝗠𝗏.
Thank you very, 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 very much. And we'll keep tabs on each other, okay?
All right. Have a nice one. Take care.
Okay. You too. Take care. And thank you, Tony. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I guess they're still not letting me back in my home because somebody's being burglarized. And what a horrible day to do that on October 31st when people are supposed to be celebrating and taking candy that is given to them. Somebody's out there taking something that's not being given to them. Truly narcissistic. So I appreciate you tuning in, and I will see you next time. Good night, everyone.